Hi guys, this is Beliver Cabahog, second year student of Mechanical Engineering from Parston University. So today, I will be reacting to a video entitled Challenges of a New Engineering Manager to my engineering management subject. I have a huge expectation from this video. First, it will broaden my understanding about engineering management. Second, it will also change my mindset about how engineers and engineering management works. Lastly, I know after watching this video, I could apply what I learned and I could reflect it to my future.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Tom. I work with Trivago in Düsseldorf. Today I will talk about the challenges of a new engineering manager. Why do I talk about this? For one, because I went through those challenges myself. I switched from a developer position to a management position at Trivago, and I also coached some of my colleagues through those challenges, and I think it's very helpful. So this is me with a monkey on my back. Max, falls du jetzt zuschaust auf YouTube später, ich hab dich lieb. Sorry, just had to do that. I've been with Trivago since 2013. Originally I came to Trivago because in my previous job I didn't get to code as much anymore. Well, at Trivago as an engineering manager was the same thing, but this time it was actually okay because I liked what I was doing instead. So management. If you had asked me 4 years ago if I would ever consider myself a manager, I would have laughed at you. I would have said you're crazy. Yeah, right, management. Because to me, management was something like this. People in suits and ties, handing around fancy reports, smiling at each other, how good they are at management. Keeping the engineers from doing the actual work, being a burden on them, being a pain in the ass in a way. So my image of management was not very good, and I think it's not surprising that this was the case because there are a lot of bad examples out there. I mean, in movies or in comics, and of course they are fictional, but they are funny because it's true to a degree, right? It has a core of truth to it. There are many bad examples of management out there. Or there is also what you see in the media. This is this large-scale management, thousands of people, thousands of employees, managers who lose track what's actually happening in their organizations, and that's certainly not where I wanted to go. But when I became a manager myself, I realized that management starts small. This is a team of 6 people, and even on a team of 3 people you can have value added by management. You realize somebody needs training, you get the other person to mentor this person, so you've managed, you provided value through management. And it's kind of invisible. You don't typically think of that as management, but it is management and it does provide value. There are studies that show that management provides value, and one of the more notable ones comes from Google. Now, if you know Google, they are not a management savvy organization. They are an organization of engineers originally. They value engineering much higher than they value management. And they did this study called Project Oxygen a couple of years ago, which wanted to find out what distinguishes excellent teams from average teams. And actually they set out to prove that the manager didn't have a part in it. So unfortunately, however, one of the revelations which Google discovered was that the biggest controllable factor in high-performing teams was the quality of the manager and how they sort of made things happen. So they ended up proving the exact opposite of what they wanted to prove. And if even Google comes to that conclusion, I think that some things has to be to it. So if you arrive at this conclusion that you can provide value through management, the question is, who do you make a manager in your organization? So you want to pick the right people. And in a team of engineers, there's this intuition, okay, I have to make somebody a manager out of this team. Who do I pick? And the natural instinct or reflex goes in the direction of the best engineer. Yeah, the best engineer should become the manager. They've deserved it. They've worked hard. So the best engineer is the most obvious candidate for management. With a product owner, 11 to 1, small stuff like booking rooms, communication on some downtime, review a blog post draft, investigate for equipment, update documentation, approve vacation requests, things like that. 1 to 2, meeting on the new workflow. 2 to 3, meeting on replacing our package management server. 3 to 4:30, review results of the company survey, summarize a peer review for an employee. And 4:30 to 5, one-on-one meeting with a developer. At the end of such a day, sometimes you wonder, what have I been doing all day? So lines of code committed 0, features shipped 0, bugs fixed also 0. So the old metrics of productivity go away completely as a manager. So you have to find new metrics, because what you do is actually real work and provides value. For example, you give actionable feedback to somebody so that their performance can improve over time. You help somebody with a role change because they're unhappy in their team. You encourage somebody who is stuck on a project, or you provide training to people so their performance becomes better. And what these things have in common is that you don't see the results of these actions right away. It's you talk to somebody, you give somebody feedback, but you cannot look inside their head. You don't know if it clicked, or if you will have to repeat it again next week. So all these things, and generally most of the things you do as a manager, are about the long term. For example, this example of a role change. I've had an employee once who was performing great, was one of the top performers on his team, but he wanted to switch teams, he wanted to switch roles, because he was a bit bored, or having been doing the same thing for a long time. But because he was so good in this team, in this position where he was, there were also people who wanted to keep him there because he was doing great work. So I had to talk to them, I had to talk to him over and over again, get them in the same room, and it went over weeks and months in the end. So of course it felt terrible in between, having the same conversations over and over again. You feel like you're making them wait for no reason, and you don't feel productive. But in the end it worked out. After a couple of months actually, and that was very valuable as a result. So these individual conversations all the time had some value in the end, and it just wasn't visible after the conversation because you were repeating yourself over and over again. But then I established trust with this employee because I supported him in this cause. We retained him, so it was great for employee retention, one of the top performers, and I could contribute to his growth in the organization. This is an example of the DRY principle for managers, which is do repeat yourself. Communication is a large part of your job, and when a lot of people come together in a busy organization, communication always means repeating yourself. Repeat. And as an engineer, also this feels unproductive and stupid because as an engineer you were trained not to repeat yourself, and you have to rethink that. So how did I redefine my productivity? Today I feel productive when I can connect two people. I hear one person has a problem, I know somebody else can provide the solution, but they don't know each other yet, so I can connect them. I feel productive when I learn something about something new about a colleague, because it will increase our trust and enable us to work better together in the future. I feel productive when I can help somebody with bureaucracy. Because of my position as a manager, I know some shortcuts in the organization, so I might be able to unblock somebody so they can get to their goals faster. I feel productive when I teach somebody something. I feel productive when I can bounce ideas back and forth with an employee, or also when I can get somebody equipment they need, which is also, again, a form of unblocking somebody. And these 6 examples, maybe you've realized, they're all not about me. It's always somebody else is involved. And I think this is the essence of what you have to, how you have to think about productivity as a manager. I think Andy Grove said it best. A manager's output is the output of his organization plus the output of the neighboring organizations under his influence. So if you take this to heart, if you internalize this, and if you switch your thinking that way, then I think you will be happy with your productivity as a manager. It's not about how many commits you churn out every day, not about how many bugs you fix, but how well you enable others to increase their output. This is how I think you should think about productivity.
So guys, base sa sinabi ni Mr. Thomas Bartel, that transition from being an engineer to engineering manager is quite difficult. Kasi nga naman, isipin mo, yung from usual job as a regular engineer na gumagawa ng projects everyday where you usually see results in day-to-day basis, or you see that your project is improving. For example, for me, as an mechanical engineering student, we expect that our future job will usually be in regards to producing machines, for example, electric generators, internal combustion engines, steam and gas turbine. Tapos I'll be transferred to a job which is completely different to what I used to, and especially it'll be connected to engaging and interacting with employees who will be under my supervision. A manager, as per this video, deals with people, and the productivity is in long-term process. Just think about it. Alam mong napakahirap ng transition na yun, dahil ako, I'm not that sociable, kaya I can say na if I'm that position, it'll take time for me para mag-adjust sa new environment. Who am I to decide? The feeling of me previously being a regular engineering, having fun and small talks with my colleagues about our lives and our jobs, will then have a drastic change. Because being a manager, great power comes with great responsibilities. And it includes dealing with your previous colleagues as your subordinate. Now, from the usual chit-chat to them, requesting vacation leave approval, them raising their issues and concerns to the company, to you, because they are now under your supervision. Para sa akin, it's quite hard to think on how properly and professional I could handle such situation. Kasi nga naman, di ba? Come to think of it, mga kasama mong kumakain before, kakulitan, tapos suddenly magiging manager ka na nila. I'll be confused kasi since I'm still in a transition. Shall I be the one to decide for my previous colleagues? And even though I'll be the manager, I will still ask myself, why should it have to be me? But then, if not me, then who will? Awkwardness. Akalain mo yun, no? Nakakahiya nga naman kasi dahil nga nasa transition ka pa to be a suited manager sa mga subordinates mo. You're still coping up with your new job and wala ka pang sariling style to deal with the employees. But then, sabi nga ni Mr. Thomas Bartel, it is okay because sooner you'll find your own way on how to deal with the employees. Ang iba pala pag manager ka, no? You are the one who will search and look if there's existing problem that para ma-resolve mo na agad. Amazing but scary as well. Because if I'm not yet used to such, nakaka-awkward. And you, mga guys, the key to successfully be a good manager is to get the employees' trust. Thank you for watching.
The next challenge as a manager is overcoming what I call the who am I to syndrome. So you're promoted, no, you switch to management, and all of a sudden you're asked for vacation approvals, or somebody asks you, may I work from home on Friday? And especially when you make the switch from in the same organization, your former peers, you think you're still one of them. Why? Who am I to decide this? It doesn't feel right. So while yesterday you were just another introvert developer, and if you didn't feel like talking to people, you could hide behind your screen and work on a problem each day. Today you are on stage. Congratulations. People will look at you differently just because of your role. Yeah, maybe you don't realize this at first, but people observe you a little bit differently. People watch you more intensely, more closely. Did you ask for this? No, probably not. I certainly didn't. Most developers I know don't enjoy being the center of attention. I also don't. But it comes with the role. Yeah, you have to make it work somehow for you. Hiding is not an option anymore. As I said, as an engineer, sometimes you can spend your entire day at your screen working at something and not being interrupted. As a manager, it doesn't work that way anymore. People will come to you. People rely on you. They turn to you to solve certain problems. They come to you with questions and they want advice. You have to listen to complaints. People come to you with when they're unhappy, and you have to decide, can I take care of this right now? Is it a problem I can or should solve? You will have to give critical feedback, because if you don't do it, probably nobody else will. You have to negotiate with other parties like other teams, stakeholders or management, and you will have to resolve conflicts and issues, and some of these conflicts will feel like kindergarten to you. And some of these situations will make you feel awkward. You might wonder, am I the right person to deal with this? I don't feel prepared for this. I'm not the most knowledgeable person for this. Some of my former peers know at least as well about this issue as I do. So this is again the who am I to syndrome. Who am I to deal with this situation? I'm not the best person to do this. And feeling awkward sucks, right? It's not a nice feeling. But also in this transition from engineering to management, I think awkwardness is actually a good thing, because it shows that you want to do a good job and you are aware that you're not quite there yet. You have to learn new things. There's a great blog post by Rich Armstrong. Fog Creek software called Be a Manager, and I love the subtitle. The only reason there's so many awful managers is that good people like you refuse to do the job, and I think this is beautiful, and I think it's it's very true. And he concludes with, start learning to be a manager and be uncomfortable about it. You cannot learn these things from a book. There are difficult situations where you don't feel comfortable, awkward situations which you have to live through. And it's all right, because everybody screws up as a first-time manager. There's just nothing that really prepares you for it. There are no books you can... There are, of course, books, but they won't give you the mindset of the experience of really living through these situations. So ultimately, of course, you want to overcome this awkwardness, because it's not a nice state to be in. So what do you do? First of all, my recommendation would be just to go with it. Yeah, you will face unfamiliar situations for the first time. For example, I hated running meetings. I absolutely hated it. Everybody looking at me, expecting me to say something intelligent. And over time, it became better. So if you go with it, you might play a role at first in certain situations. You don't feel comfortable, so you play a role, you imitate people who you think are doing it good, doing it well. And over time, you find your own style. You have to find your own management style. Nobody else can do it for you, that's for sure. If you copy others, you will always seem fake to a degree. So you have to find your own management style, and you have to allow some time for it to happen. It won't happen overnight. Second, if you can, get a mentor. This is really, really useful. If you have somebody to talk about difficult situations, who you can go to and get some advice. Even 1 hour a week or even every 2 weeks is a lot. Somebody who knows this management experience is really helpful. If you cannot find a mentor, maybe you can do peer coaching. Maybe you know somebody in the organization who is going through a similar transition, and exchanging thoughts and ideas and talking about problematic cases is pretty helpful. And at some point, you will come to a new self-understanding. You have to, it's a switch in mindset. Mindset is a set of beliefs or a way of thinking that determines one's behavior, outlook, and mental attitude. And this is your goal. When you switch to management, you need a new mindset. And at some point, you won't feel awkward anymore, or a lot less so.
Who am I to decide? The feeling of me previously being a regular engineering, having fun and small talks with my colleagues about our lives and our jobs will then have a drastic change. Because being a manager, great power comes with great responsibilities. And it includes dealing with your previous colleagues as your subordinate. Now, from the usual chit-chat to them, requesting vacation leave approval, them raising their issues and concerns to the company, to you, because they are now under your supervision. Para sa akin, it's quite hard to think on how properly and professional I could handle such situation. Kasi nga naman, di ba? Come to think of it, mga kasama mong kumakain before, kakulitan, tapos suddenly magiging manager ka na nila. I'll be confused kasi since I'm still in a transition. Shall I be the one to decide for my previous colleagues? And even though I'll be the manager, I will still ask myself, why should it have to be me? But then, if not me, then who will?
The third is that problems don't come to you. So you become a manager, and you want to be approachable, you want to do a good job, you want to be there for your team. So you tell everyone, if there's something wrong, please approach me. You can always approach me. I'll be there. I will listen. You can talk to me. And what happens? Suddenly somebody comes up to you and says, I quit. This person was unhappy, this person was dissatisfied with the conditions on the team, in the company, whatever, and you wonder, how could this happen? I told everyone they could come talk to me, right? So why this sudden disaster? Why is somebody quitting? And I had no clue that they were unhappy. So I had an open door policy. I mean, I never had a door, but you know what I mean. And Ed Catmull of Pixar has a very interesting anecdote about open door policies. I'd assumed an open door would guarantee me a place in the loop, at least when it came to major sources of tension. Not a single production manager had dropped by to express frustration or make a suggestion in the 5 years we worked on Toy Story. Being on the lookout for problems was not the same as seeing problems. So the open door policy alone is not enough, even if you tell people that they can approach you at any time. It's not enough. But why is that? Why don't people come with problems? A common one is, I don't want to steal the boss's time. And I don't know exactly what he's doing, but he's doing something with management and he must be super busy because managers are always super busy. So I don't want to steal his time. I don't want to make a big fuss out of it. It's not that important. If I go talk to the manager, it seems like a super big deal. Let's not go there. Or I will wait for the right time. I could talk to them now, but there are so many people around, it will look like something huge. The problem with the right time, of course, is that the right time never comes usually. Please don't wait for the right time. Or also popular, probably it's me. If I try harder, it will be fine. So not really, there's really no need. Or also, doesn't the manager already know something's wrong? I mean, he must know, he cannot be blind. He must know, so he's probably okay with it and won't change anything anyway, so what's the point of talking about it? So all these reasons play together. It's rarely one alone, but they combine into something, and they are the reason problems don't come to you. So instead you have to find the problems. Now, how do you do that? Walk around, ask everybody, do you have a problem? No. One thing you can do is smoke, because smokers always talk to other smokers from other teams, other departments, and they usually know a lot more about the organization than people who don't smoke. Unfortunately, I don't smoke, so what I did instead was have one-on-one meetings. At the beginning, I did not really believe in one-on-one meetings. I thought it was a bit of overkill to have dedicated meetings with each individual every week or every 2 weeks. But then I started them, and now I think they are absolutely necessary. I think they are the backbone of a good communication architecture in a department or an organization. The rules are simple: 1 + 1, 2 people behind a closed door, at least 30 minutes of time. Do it every week, every 2 weeks, every more weeks, but not too far apart. The agenda is set by the employee, so it's their time. Yeah, they can come with topics. They should come with topics, ideally. But if they don't have any topics, then usually I, as a manager, come with some questions or things to talk about. The topics can be pretty much anything. There are no hard and fast rules. You can talk about projects, but it shouldn't be just a status meeting. You can talk about their satisfaction or which problems they see in the company. You can talk about personal topics if both are fine with that. You can talk about problems in the organization, and you can talk about goals for the employee. So it's also about career growth. This URL down there links to a great list of questions, 101 questions. If you do one-on-ones, I can recommend checking it out. And one-on-ones are awesome. I think they're super important. They help you build trust and rapport with people. If you listen to people, if you give them your time is one of the most valuable things you have to give. So it will be rewarded by people with trust and respect. It's a great opportunity to exchange ideas because you're behind a closed door. It's a private, safe space. So there's no reason to save face. Nobody has to be afraid or anything. So you can bounce ideas back and forth. And this is actually a great way to bubble ideas up. If a junior engineer has a great idea, who does he talk to? Maybe he's a bit afraid of, doesn't know what will become of the idea. So talking to the manager then the idea already becomes more prominent and might find a new supporter. The same with feedback. It's a safe space behind a closed door. Nobody has to be afraid of losing face in front of other people and so on. So it's a great way to give feedback in both ways, actually. So from the employee to the manager and from the manager to the employee. And it's a good opportunity to talk about growth. Not every time, once in a while is enough. And talk about where the employee wants to go, talk about openings in different teams or something. All of that stuff is really valuable. So the problems don't come to you. You can find out by smoking or having one-on-ones. Wrapping up, I talked about 3 challenges of a new engineering manager. 1, old metrics of productivity go away. You have to find new ones as a manager. 2, overcome the who am I to syndrome. You have to have a switch in mindset and it will take some time. You have to find your management style. And 3, problems don't come to you. Instead, go and find the problems. I also recommend to read a lot as a first-time manager. These are 3 books I could recommend. The Manager's Path by Camille Fournier, First Break All the Rules by Marcus Buckingham, and High Output Management by Andy Grove. They're all fairly short and to the point, especially the one on the left and on the right. They are really, really actionable and concise. Additionally, promotion number 1, I'm currently writing a guide for people who undergo the transition from engineer to manager. If you want to know more, check out my blog, tombartel.me. Promotion number 2, Trivago is a great place to work. What I love about it is its openness. We have 50, 60 nationalities working at Trivago. We're open to ideas. We're open to you. I know all the hiring managers.
Awkwardness. Akalain mo yun, no? Nakakahiya nga naman kasi dahil nga nasa transition ka pa to be a suited manager sa mga subordinates mo. You're still coping up with your new job and wala ka pang sariling style to deal with the employees. But then, sabi nga ni Mr. Thomas Bartel, it is okay because sooner you'll find your own way on how to deal with the employees. Ang iba pala pag manager ka, no? You are the one who will search and look if there's existing problem that para ma-resolve mo na agad. Amazing but scary as well. Because if I'm not yet used to such, nakaka-awkward. And you mga guys, the key to successfully be a good manager is to get the employees' trust. Thank you for watching.
Ikaw, what was the last reason of your breakup? Nagloka. O, next, nagkagawa. Di ko pwede si Diaz. I dare you to dance something for 10 seconds. Hindi. Bakit ako? Baby shark na lang. Para 9, 8, 7,
Sir, mapulit si Bastol niya sa gitna, sir.
Kaya mo naman balik.
Balik daw. Hindi siya prepared.
Okay, ready nyo na. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2.
TikTok, ha?
Lala.
Saya kasi ba?
Music. Palakpakan nyo kasi. Oh, ano? 3, 2, 3. Okay, ready, get set, go.
Diretso lang, diretso lang. Diretso lang, diretso lang. Kaliwa. Ay, kanan, kanan, kanan. Kanan, kanan. Kaliwa, ay, kanan, kanan, kanan. Diretso, diretso, diretso. Kaliwa, kaliwa, kaliwa. Kaliwa. Diretso, diretso, diretso. Kanan, kanan.
Balikan mo, girl. Yan. Gilid mo yan. Abante pa naman. Sige, abante na to.
Abante ka pa, abante ka pa. Abante ka. Yan, yan. Abante, abante. Yan.
Abante ka pa.
1. Okay, stop.
Ay, sayang.
Oh, ano gusto yun?
Pakinggan mo.
Wait, kailangan kompleto kayo. 100, ay 100. Sino na yung babalik si Hyde baka mamaya mag... Oo, natatakot. Oo, okay na. Okay. Hoy, dadaan.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hoy,
Yes, sir.
huwag kayong mag-video. Alalay kayo doon.
Yes, sir.
Dalawa lang mag... Diba? 3, 4, 5. Ulpo. Minus 10 sa bawat isang hindi nagagawa. Selfie with... Okay, have a selfie with the prof at the next room.
Hi guys! Yes sir! This is Believer Cabaho from... Hi guys! This is Believer Cabaho, second year student of Mechanical Engineering from Far Eastern University. So today, I'll be... Just think about it. Alam mo, napakahirap ng transition na yun. Because you know, if I'm in that position, I have a huge I have a huge expectation from this video. First, it will broaden... Ano, bakit na?
Sorry, nakita ako.
Ano?